Whoopsie daisy. Whoopsie, hello again. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to leave for that long. I really was hoping to do something, but I got a bit distracted and I was very confused about what I actually wanted to do. Not much confidence behind the ideas that I had in mind, but we'll do something simple. I'm just going to go back and take something that I did before, which was an album review, and I'm just gonna redo that one because there's someone very kindly pointed out there's no videos on the channel, just the one. Where did all the videos go? I don't know. They left. They went. So here's a new one. Before I do that, I think we need to go somewhere proper to do it. So 2 secs. I think we're gonna need to put this on for good measure, and I'll see you in a sec. Okay, I think this is better. This is usually where I like to come and do my reading and my writing. It's quite nice out here. It's better when it's not so windy. Anyway, what are we reviewing? That's right, we are reviewing Gumboot Soup, which is it's an album made by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, a prolific rock band out of Australia. Gumboot Soup was the 5th album that they released in 2017, which is pretty impressive. It's something that they did later then recreate in last year, 2022. Okay, I say they released 5 albums in 2022, but one of them technically was supposed to come out on New Year's, and it was like more of the Christmas period release, and they had to push it back further because of complications. And I think it got physical releases and things before a digital release. I don't know if I count that as like the actual official release, but I'm being pedantic. They did that again last year. It's very impressive. But we're not talking about last year, we're talking about Gumboot Soup. So I have a little book here, which I've written all of my notes and comments on each of the songs, which we're going to go through one by one. It's an interesting album. It, according to Stu McKenzie, the front man, the lead singer of the band, he said it was a collection of songs that didn't really fit the previous albums, but they still wanted to release them, which I think is nice. You know, but I'll get back to that at the end of the review. We might as well just dig in. Starting off with the intro, the beginning track, Beginner's Luck. It's nice. My notes say it feels off kilter. I don't know the time signature, but with King Gizzard that makes a little difference. They are very experimental in their time signatures, and this album does present a lot of those experiments fairly well. Lyrically, it is very interesting, very engaging. Stu's use a lot of card-based puns. The song itself is about gambling. It's about, sitting down at the poker table and using all different matter of tricks and things and trying to get a profit at the end of the night. But the main character in the story ends up going a bit too far, and he gets hunted down by the house. He gets kicked out. Melody wise, also very interesting. I noticed my camera's shaking. I'm worried that's going to knock over. It has a beautiful hook, which gets reprised later in the song on a flute, which sounds beautiful. It's so clean. Generally a really nice introduction. Outstanding solo. I think that's Joey Walker, who is incredible when it comes to solos, and it really ties the rest of the end of the track in together, which on its own I give an 8 out of 10. It's a really nice song that I do find myself coming back to every now and then. Some of these songs I come back to more than others, but I'll get to those ones. Next one is Whoopsie Daisy. Whoops. Okay. Didn't realise my camera automatically stops filming. I only got into the first song. Jesus, that's awful. Greenhouse Heat Death, which it's not my favourite. It just feels a little... It's lackluster. Lyrically, it's kind of boring. That, you know, there's nothing actually, like... For the way that it's being sung, which is this very gruff, deep voice, and it's like... my house was green, you know what I mean. I'm like, it doesn't... The lyrics don't fit the tone. It feels underwritten, like a bit half-baked. There are parts where it does feel nice and jammy, you know, like they're about to get into some more interesting ideas, but ultimately they kind of give up on it. Like, they have to get brought back to the chorus, and the chorus, like, everything there just isn't that fun. I give it a 6 out of 10. I don't really come back to listen to it that often. Same with the next one, Barefoot Desert. It feels like a transitionary song, like a transitionary song. There's gonna be, like, it's between one track and another, which I know in mainly it's Polygon the Wonderland, that is mostly transitionary songs, but they work well because they have the context of the other two songs that they are transitioning from or to help build the idea and the motif that they're trying to convey. But because Barefoot Desert sits on its own, there's nothing for it. There's nothing for it to stand on. Also, the main melody that you hear, like that feels like a TV show intro to a scene from, like, some light-hearted sitcom drama kind of thing. Like, it's interesting. It sticks in my head sometimes. I think that's probably the only highlight of the track itself. Overall I give it a 6 out of 10. It does have some nice like 2 different themes that it goes back and forth on, but that's kind of it, really. The next track, though, the Grandmaster, oh man, Muddy Water, which is like the third of a series of songs. Like, they've made 3 different songs with the name Water in it, which is kind of funny. But this is full energy, straight in, doesn't build up. It just suddenly drops you into this really driving groove from the drums. Mike Cavanaugh, and the hook, that the main chorus bit, and the guitar, everything works so well together that this, as a song, if it were released as a single, would be an incredible single. I think I can't remember if it actually was released before the album. I think actually, no, the album came out all in one thing. We didn't know what was going to be on there. But I give it a 9 out of 10. It is such a good track. It is one that I come back to more than any of the other songs on here. Although then the quality kind of drops immediately afterwards when you get to Superposition. You know, it's a classic. They find a big word that has some deep meaning, some philosophical ideas, and they make a song about it. They've done it with, like, Ataraxia later on, Nuclear Fusion. That was a great one. But yeah, this, it feels sludgy and a bit atonal. There's something about it that just doesn't fit right. It's off-putting to listen to, and whether that, you know, intentional, I know that there are people that do enjoy atonal music. I am privy to it myself. But in this album, it's not a good form of atonality. It feels like a headache in being in 2 places at once. You know, which is nice lyrically, but as a listening experience, it doesn't leave me in a good place. So I gave it a 7 out of 10. It's not terrible, you know, but it's not Muddy Water. It's not Muddy Water. I can't state that enough. Next up is Down the Sink, which I thought was very jivey. You know, it's got a nice rhythm to it, nice imagery in the lyrics as well. You know, it's all about this city of crime and thievery, and everyone kind of lives and dies there. You know, it's not fun. But the main hurdle I have over this, and I'm so sorry, Cookie Dog, I don't like his singing. It really is off-putting. It's quite off-putting. And so for that, I kind of gave it a 6 out of 10. The quality does then get picked up again with the Great Chain of Being, which is like the precursor to the heavier rock that King Gizzard would later do on albums like Infest the Rat's Nest and Petrodragonic Apocalypse. I know they did it on Murder of the Universe, and Murder of the Universe is great, but this has its own feel, and it doesn't exactly sit on there well enough. Vocals are clean and dirty at the same time. Like, they're crispy, but how growly it all is equally as dirty. Rough and evocative of destruction. Lyrically, it's about finding the sort of the god of creation and destroying his chains of being, and then reforming, like the main character reforms the world in his own image. And it's got a really good drive to it. Later in the song, the main character, he seems to have, like, he's more tyrannical, he's more vicious, so the track kind of tightens a bit more. The chorus drops a couple of beats and it becomes this constant, like, chugging singular idea of, I will come behind you and slit your throat and I will rule everyone that's here. And it's like these looser chains of being have been made tighter, they are more constricting, and they become larger. So I give it an 8 out of 10. It's a great idea, and I love how they presented it. And then musically, everything softens up a bit, where the next song, The Last Oasis, is a breath of fresh air. It's a cold cup of water after a long hot day, and it's super mellow, very sweet. No, I'm alright, I'm on my own still. There's a dog walker earlier, you missed that. Like a light shimmer, like a mirage in the desert. A lot of it feels like a mirage, then suddenly later in the track everything sort of warps. You know, it becomes like really hard to follow. It's like you're listening through a big swimming pool. So musically very interesting. I mean, I did give it a 7 out of 10, just because, you know, it doesn't hold me like the other ones. I have a particular bias to heavy, hard-hitting tracks that just really, like, grunge and pull. And coming back to that idea, All Is Known is a great lead-in, pulls you into this setting that they're trying to show you, the theme that comes throughout the rest of the song. You get interested straight away. Real driving rhythm. It kicks into gear in the bridge and keeps momentum throughout. The whole thing kind of builds a bit and builds a bit and builds a bit, and then it keeps you going. It would have been great on Ongoing Infinity. Yeah, I give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's lovely. This album it goes from like one heavy track to one light track, then to a heavy, then to a light, and it kind of mirrors that back and forth. So the next track does that quite nicely. Sleeping In, which I had a look on the Wikipedia page, on the back of the record as well, and it's only Stu and Ambrose that did this one together. None of the other people are part of this song, so it's like they were just in a hotel room. Get out the iPhone like the old days, record on that, mix everything together. It's pretty dirty, very lo-fi. The drums really crunch the feel of the rest of the song. They're quite clippy, but it's so nice. I do feel like this is a return of the like an older track, Sleepwalker, which has a very similar feel, and obviously thematically is about sleep. They do have a few songs like that, like 30 Past 7. You know, the rough nature just scratches a good part of my brain. There's just something about that song that really gets to me, and I love it. Yeah, I give it an 8 out of 10. It's so nice. Which leads us on to the last song of the album, The Wheel, which I wrote this whole paragraph. Psychedelic lead-in. It's soft and heavy at the same time. Really slowly, drums are quite pushy and driving, but the pianos pull you back to a sense of safety. It does go back and forth on this, like, really soft synth pianos, but then you have this these drums which do lead you on and pull you further into the track, and then eventually those pianos are lost by more driving guitars. I feel like sonically it is like a wheel rolling down a hill and getting faster and faster and faster, and something that you can experience on the digital album, as well as actually it comes out better in the record version, is the end of the song ends up falling into this repeating groove which doesn't end. It keeps going until you take it off, but you can hear that at the end of the song, like as it fades out, you can hear the repetitious, like you hear where the loop repeats, and I think it's a great closer. I gave it a 7 out of 10. For the rest of the album, it does fit. It fits this theme of this is just a loose collection of songs. There's no running continuity, but at the same time, that to me was a negative for the album, because the lack of continuity and the lack of consistency throughout the songs lowered the overall mark. I give it a 6 out of 10, only because it just doesn't have enough tracks that make me want to keep listening to it. I'll come back to Muddy Water, I'll come back to All Is Known, but if I were to listen to it more consistently, I think I would find myself skipping a lot of the songs, and compared to some of their other albums, which I can listen to in a full sitting, it lowers the quality overall. It's getting cold out here, and the wind is not dying down, but that was Gumboot Soup, and I'm glad to actually have given it a proper review, as the video that I initially posted I did take down just because I wasn't really happy with how I graded it. I didn't give enough criticism, and I didn't give enough feedback for each song, and my general musical vocabulary wasn't very deep at the time. It was also a very new album to me. I bought it almost as soon as it dropped, like a couple of months after it released, and then I listened to it a couple of times. So yeah, having actually given it more thought, given it a proper listen, I think it's a good album. It's still not great, but it's definitely one that you can start off your King Gizzard introduction with, and then pick any of the songs that you actually enjoy, and there will be an album which delves more into that idea in more detail and with more creativity. But thank you for watching. I hope the audio hasn't been horrendous. I bought this windsock. I don't know how good it's actually been to block out the wind, but I'm glad to be back here. This was very cathartic. I will be back again next week with a new review. I also have a couple of essays I want to write as well, to make some videos on, all about structures. One of them is really about structures and big things that don't make sense. But I will bid you farewell, good night, and I'll see you next week. I promise. I'll give you another click.